Why do I need my mom?
I just need him to leave because he's...
Why do you always go back to him?
Yeah, what do you want me to do? Put him in jail? I'm not trying to put him in jail. I'm trying to remove him from my house.
Well, whatever it takes. If you feel like your life is in danger, put him in jail.
She's not in danger. What the f are you guys talking about me like I'm some monster?
Run the f away. Okay. God, okay. Look at this. Okay. I believe in you. So what about her? Okay. What the f is my gun? Gina, what the f is my gun?
Pay attention to Anna Abulaban, 29 years old, relaxing in her downtown San Diego apartment on this sunny October afternoon. She has less than 2 hours left to live. Because her estranged husband Ali, also 29, a TikTok star with nearly 1 million followers, is listening to every word she speaks through a hidden device. On this day, Anna dreams of freedom and a fresh start. On this day, Ali plans to ensure she never gets that chance. This is the story of 7 years that spiraled from love to obsession to cold-blooded murder. Anna Marie grew up between the Philippines and Okinawa, Japan, building a modest social media presence that showcased her warm personality and bright smile. She appeared confident in her Instagram photos, a young woman who radiated hope and possibility. Friends described her as kind-hearted, someone who always put family first and dreamed of building a stable life in America. She spoke about wanting to give her daughter opportunities she never had, about creating a home filled with laughter instead of struggle. Anna met Ali Abulaban in 2014 while he was stationed in Okinawa with the United States Air Force. He seemed like everything she'd hoped for, charming, ambitious, and eager to build a future together. They married quickly, and their daughter arrived a few years later. To the outside world, they looked like a picture-perfect military family making their way in the world. Ali promised Anna citizenship, stability, and love. For a while, it seemed like those promises might actually come true. After Ali's service ended, the couple relocated to San Diego, California, settling into the luxury Spire apartments downtown. By late 2019, Ali launched his online persona Jin Kid, creating comedy sketches that quickly went viral. His impressions of Tony Montana from Scarface and his live-action Skyrim videos attracted hundreds of thousands of followers. Money started flowing in, the apartment overlooked the city. Life looked glamorous on camera. But behind the curated content and viral videos, something dark was growing. When Anna tried to have friends or any life outside their apartment, Ali exploded with accusations and verbal abuse. The toxicity reached a breaking point on September 8, 2021, when Anna finally called 911. Dispatchers heard the fear in her voice as she reported domestic violence. Ali had pushed her during an argument over a suitcase, causing her to fall and hit her head. On paper, Ali Abulaban was a rising social media star living the dream in a high-rise apartment. But beneath that glossy surface lurked a man consumed by paranoia and rage. He started recording Anna without permission, posting rants about her online, and accusing her of infidelity even as he pursued other women himself. The double standard was staggering. He demanded absolute loyalty while giving none in return. When Anna tried to have friends or any life outside their apartment, Ali exploded with accusations and verbal abuse. The toxicity reached a breaking point on September 8, 2021, when Anna finally called 911. Dispatchers heard the fear in her voice as she reported domestic violence. Ali had pushed her during an argument over a suitcase, causing her to fall and hit her head. While she spoke with emergency operators, Ali went live on TikTok, mocking her struggle and painting himself as the victim. He told his followers that he'd brought her to America, that she owed him everything, that she was ungrateful and disloyal. Officers arrived to find Anna shaken but determined. She showed them her injuries, a scraped knee, a bruised temple where her head had struck the bed frame. She spoke about wanting to give her daughter opportunities she never had, about creating a home filled with laughter instead of struggle. Anna met Ali Abulaban in 2014 while he was stationed in Okinawa with the United States Air Force. He seemed like everything she'd hoped for, charming, ambitious, and eager to build a future together. They married quickly, and their daughter arrived a few years later. Between July and October of 2021, police responded to multiple calls reporting abuse at the Abulaban apartment. Neighbors heard violent arguments echoing through the luxury building. Friends received desperate messages from Anna describing Ali's increasingly erratic behavior. Each time officers arrived, Ali smoothed things over with charm and excuses. He blamed drugs, stress, or Anna herself. Nothing stuck, no arrests were made. The pattern continued: jealousy, public humiliation, secret monitoring, and harassment. Ali's online presence became a window into his unraveling mind. He posted rambling videos accusing Anna of betrayal, calling her names, threatening to have her deported. One particularly disturbing livestream showed him high on cocaine, yelling at Anna while their young daughter was supposedly nearby. His followers watched in real time as a relationship disintegrated. many commenting with concern while others egged him on. The line between performance and reality had vanished completely. During one terrifying incident, Ali put a gun to his own head while their child slept in the next room, desperate to force Anna's attention and compliance. She called police, telling them through tears that her husband had threatened self-harm with their daughter just feet away. Officers arrived to find Ali suddenly calm, apologetic, playing the role of concerned father. He convinced them it was a misunderstanding, that emotions had simply run high. They left without making an arrest. Anna confided in Ali's mother during a recorded conversation, explaining that she couldn't continue living this way. The older woman acknowledged her son's failures as a husband, expressing concern primarily for her granddaughter who was suffering from the chaos. When Ali overheard the conversation, he erupted with rage, demanding to know why Anna was making him look like a monster to his own family. The victim mentality was staggering. He truly believed he was the injured party. By October, Anna had made her decision. She told Ali she wanted a divorce, that his infidelity and abuse had destroyed whatever love remained between them. This wasn't a threat or a bargaining tactic anymore, it was a final declaration. Ali moved into a nearby hotel but refused to accept that the marriage was over. He continued calling, texting, showing up unannounced. His messages swung wildly between apologetic and threatening, between professing eternal love and hurling vicious insults. His stated plan, if he even had one, was to drop the child with a relative an hour away, but police tracked his vehicle using traffic cameras and cell phone location data. Less than 2 hours after the murders, officers spotted his car on the highway and initiated a traffic stop. Ali pulled over without incident. The arrest itself was relatively calm. Ali complied with officers' commands, though he continued insisting they'd made a mistake, that he had nothing to hide. Ali didn't just suspect Anna had moved on, he needed proof, needed to catch her in what he perceived as betrayal. He researched surveillance technology obsessively, looking for ways to monitor someone remotely. He discovered he could install a communication app on their daughter's iPad, essentially converting the child's device into a hidden listening tool. The iPad stayed in Anna's apartment, tucked under the bed, streaming audio directly to Ali's phone wherever he happened to be. From his hotel room, Ali listened constantly to what was happening inside Anna's home. This wasn't casual checking, it was obsessive monitoring, hours spent with headphones on, waiting for any sign that another man was there. The surveillance represented a complete violation of Anna's privacy and safety, but in Ali's twisted logic, he believed he had every right. She was still his wife. That apartment had been their home. He convinced himself he was justified in everything he did. Prosecutors would later call this surveillance system a baby monitor app, though its purpose was anything but innocent. Ali had taken something designed for parents to check on sleeping children and weaponized it for stalking and control. He'd previously used recordings, phone access, and social media posts to track and discredit Anna. Now he'd escalated to round-the-clock audio surveillance, building a digital cage around a woman who was desperately trying to escape. On the afternoon of October 21st, 2021, Ali sat in his hotel room with headphones on, monitoring the audio feed from Anna's apartment. What he heard sent him into a rage. Multiple voices, laughter, sounds he interpreted as intimate. One voice belonged to Anna, the other was Rayburn. In Ali's cocaine-fueled paranoia, this confirmed every jealous fantasy he'd harbored. His wife was with another man in what he still considered his home. Security cameras captured what happened next with chilling clarity. At approximately 2:50 p.m., Ali arrived at the Spire Apartments parking garage. Footage shows him walking in, then suddenly running back outside. Minutes later, he returns, adjusting the belt that holds his holster. Before entering the building, he activates his phone's audio recorder and slips it into his pocket. He's documenting his own crime in real time, perhaps already planning his defense. The elevator ride up to the 35th floor takes only minutes. Surveillance footage shows Ali standing calmly inside, his face composed, almost serene. His black, baggy hoodie conceals the weapon at his side. When another resident enters, Ali exchanges casual pleasantries, even manages a smile. Nothing about his demeanor suggests what he's about to do. To the neighbors sharing that elevator, he's just another resident, heading home on an ordinary Thursday afternoon. When the doors open, Ali doesn't hesitate. He bolts down the hallway toward Anna's apartment unit, unlocks the door with a copy of the key he'd made earlier, and steps inside. Anna and Rayburn are together in the living room. The confrontation lasts only seconds. Ali raises his weapon and fires rapidly at Rayburn, 3 shots to the head and throat. Rayburn collapses instantly. There's no time for Anna to run, no chance to scream or plead. Ali turns to her, their eyes meeting one final time, and fires a single shot to her forehead. After the shooting, Ali pulls out his phone again, not to call for help, but to take photographs. He captures images of Rayburn and Anna lying on the floor where they fell. Then he begins sharing those photographs, sending them to his parents and friends. The detachment is staggering, as if he's documenting a scene from one of his video sketches rather than the aftermath of murdering 2 people. Some recipients would later describe him as seeming proud, as if he'd accomplished something worthy of recognition. Ali calls his mother next, his voice strange and disconnected. "I just tried to win," he tells her repeatedly, the words tumbling out in a bizarre mantra. She can barely comprehend what he's saying, struggling to understand if this is real or another one of his dramatic performances. But the photos on her phone tell the truth. Her son has committed an unspeakable act, and there's no walking it back. Security cameras capture Ali riding the elevator down with other residents, acting as if nothing has happened. He doesn't call police from the building. Instead, he walks calmly to his car and drives away. Only after putting distance between himself and the crime scene does he dial 911, launching into a performance worthy of his Scarface impressions. He claims he's just discovered his wife and another man dead in the apartment, says there's blood everywhere, begs the dispatcher to send help immediately. The dispatcher tries to keep him on the line, asking questions, but Ali's story keeps shifting. He says he doesn't know who the man is, then admits it's Rayburn, then provides conflicting details about what he supposedly saw when he found them. He sounds panicked and distraught, but investigators would later note that his performance seemed rehearsed, calculated. He's trying to establish an alibi, trying to position himself as the shocked husband rather than the calculating killer. While Ali spins his false narrative for emergency dispatchers, police are already racing to Anna's apartment. Officers force entry and immediately discover the horrific scene inside two victims, both deceased from gunshot wounds. The apartment is otherwise undisturbed, suggesting this wasn't a robbery or random attack. This was personal, targeted, and swift. The killer knew exactly what they were doing. Investigators quickly pull security footage from the building's extensive camera system. What they find is damning clear video of Ali entering the garage, adjusting his holster, riding the elevator to the 35th floor, running toward Anna's apartment, and leaving minutes later. They identify his vehicle and issue a citywide alert. Ali Abulaban is armed and dangerous, currently on the run with his young daughter. Ali had driven directly from the crime scene to his daughter's school, picking her up as if everything was normal. He claims he's just discovered his wife and another man dead in the apartment, says there's blood everywhere, begs the dispatcher to send help immediately. The dispatcher tries to keep him on the line, asking questions, but Ali's story keeps shifting. He says he doesn't know who the man is, then admits it's Rayburn, then provides conflicting details about what he supposedly saw when he found them. When officers secured his phones, social media accounts, and vehicle, they discovered a treasure trove of evidence: the surveillance app on his daughter's iPad, the photographs he'd taken and shared, the audio recordings, the threatening text messages he'd sent to Anna in the days before the murders. 3 years passed between Ali's arrest and his trial, during which time he made the extraordinary decision to give a television interview about his case. Sitting across from a reporter, still seemingly detached from reality, he attempted to explain his actions as a crime of passion rather than premeditated murder. He admitted to installing the surveillance app, but claimed it was only to ensure Anna's safety, not to spy on her. In the interview, Ali describes hearing nightmare rhythm and blues music coming through the audio feed from Anna's apartment, realizing Rayburn was there with her. He claims he was screaming at himself not to go there, that he tried to fight the impulse, but ultimately couldn't control his response. "I felt like I was in the passenger seat of my own body," he explains, as if he'd been possessed, rather than making a conscious choice to grab a loaded weapon and drive to commit murder. Throughout the interview, Ali alternates between sobbing and yelling, performing grief and remorse for the cameras. He insists that seeing his wife with another man in the apartment where his daughter slept, on furniture he'd assembled, was more than any man should be expected to endure. "What do you expect a man to feel?" he demands, his voice breaking. The victim mentality is complete somehow. In his twisted logic, he's the one who's been wronged. When asked directly if he killed Anna, Ali refuses to answer, saying, "Only don't ask me that." Yet he also claims police have no evidence against him, conveniently ignoring the security footage, the photographs he shared, the confession he made to his mother. He insists his decision to pick up his daughter from school wasn't fleeing the scene, it was protecting her from a killer still at large. Every answer is calculated, every emotion performed for maximum sympathetic impact. The trial began 3 years after the murders, with prosecutors methodically building their case. They introduced the surveillance evidence, showing how Ali had systematically tracked and monitored Anna for weeks before killing her. They played the threatening messages he'd sent in the days before the murders, vicious texts calling her vile names, voice recordings where he laughed at his own cruelty, then messages swinging back to professed love and desperate apologies. After the separation, Anna began seeing Rayburn Barron, a 28-year-old friend who'd stood by her through years of turmoil. Unlike Ali, Rayburn was gentle, family-oriented, someone who would never raise his voice or his hand to her. He represented everything Anna needed: safety, respect, genuine care. Ali had always hated Rayburn, sensing correctly that the other man cared deeply for Anna. Now his worst fears were confirmed, and his jealousy transformed into something far more dangerous. The defense maintained that Ali's actions were an uncontrollable response to discovering his wife's infidelity, that drugs and emotional distress had impaired his judgment. But when prosecutors played audio of Ali calmly chatting with neighbors in the elevator moments before the murders, that argument collapsed. This wasn't a man in the grip of uncontrollable passion, this was someone executing a plan. Anna's former sister-in-law took the stand, visibly emotional, getting into a heated exchange with Ali in the courtroom. "What did he do to you?" she demanded, tears streaming down her face. "He didn't do anything to you!" Her raw grief cut through the courtroom theatrics, reminding everyone that real people had lost their lives, that a little girl had lost her mother because of one man's rage and entitlement. The jury deliberated briefly before returning with their verdict: guilty of first-degree murder on both counts. Ali's carefully constructed performance finally crumbled as the reality of his situation crashed down. He'd spent 3 years believing he could manipulate public opinion, charm a jury, somehow talk his way out of the consequences. Now, facing the judge who would sentence him, that delusion shattered completely. Prosecutors argued this couldn't possibly be a crime of passion because Ali drove from his hotel to Anna's apartment with a loaded weapon, broke in using a copied key, and executed 2 people in rapid succession. Every action demonstrated planning and intent. The surveillance system alone proved premeditation. You don't set up sophisticated monitoring equipment on impulse. You do it because you're building towards something, waiting for justification to act. Rayburn Barron was 28 years old, a loyal friend who'd stood by Anna through her darkest times. He represented safety and kindness, everything Anna deserved and had been denied for so long. His crime, in Ali's eyes, was caring for a woman who'd been abused and helping her believe she could have something better. For that, Rayburn lost his life, becoming collateral damage in one man's obsessive need for control. The judge delivered the final sentence without hesitation: 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 50 years to life. Ali would spend every remaining day of his existence behind bars, never again free to harm anyone, never able to manipulate or control or perform for an audience eager to believe his lies. The viral videos, the social media fame, the luxury apartment overlooking San Diego, all of it meant nothing now. As bailiffs led him away, Ali broke down completely, the last shreds of his carefully maintained facade finally dissolving. The man who'd built an online empire playing tough guy characters, who'd believed he could talk his way out of anything, who'd convinced himself he was always the victim that man was gone. What remained was simply a murderer, facing the consequences of his choice to value his wounded pride over 2 human lives. Anna Abulaban was 29 years old when her life was stolen from her. She'd survived years of escalating abuse, had finally found the courage to leave, was building a new life free from violence and control. She had a daughter who needed her, friends who loved her, and a future full of possibility. Ali took all of that away in a single moment of rage-fueled entitlement, believing somehow that he had the right to end her life because she'd chosen to live it without him. At sentencing, Ali read a prepared statement attempting one last time to frame himself as a victim of circumstance. He called his actions an unintended, impulsive reaction to discovering Rayburn with his wife. He apologized for not being mentally strong enough to control himself in that moment. Every word was carefully chosen to minimize his culpability, to suggest this was something that happened to him rather than something he chose to do. The prosecutor's response was withering. The case serves as a stark reminder that domestic violence can escalate to murder, that jealousy and control are warning signs that should never be ignored. Anna called police multiple times before her death. Neighbors reported hearing violent arguments, friends knew she was in danger, yet somehow the system failed to protect her, failed to recognize that Ali's behavior was building toward a tragic conclusion. Perhaps if one of those earlier calls had resulted in arrest, if he'd faced real consequences for his abuse, 2 lives might have been saved. Today, their daughter is growing up without her mother, carrying the unbearable knowledge that her father murdered the woman who gave her life. That child will live forever in the shadow of this tragedy, shaped by trauma she never deserved. Ali destroyed not just 2 lives, but countless others, everyone who loved Anna and Rayburn, everyone who'll forever wonder if they could have done something differently, something more. The viral videos are still online, preserved as evidence of a man who believed fame made him invincible, who confused performing for cameras with actually being the characters he portrayed. Someone who seemed charming on camera while terrorizing his wife behind closed doors, someone who believed his online persona made him special, exempt from consequences, entitled to control another person's life. Ali Abulaban will spend the rest of his life behind bars, his fame reduced to infamy, his legacy nothing but a cautionary tale about what happens when narcissism meets violence. Anna and Rayburn deserved so much more than they got. He described Ali as someone only thinking about himself, someone completely undisturbed by the idea of killing 2 innocent people. "It's chilling," he told the court. "The bottom line is he will die in prison. He will never be a free man. He will take his last breath there." The words hung in the courtroom, a simple, devastating truth about the price of Ali's actions. They deserved justice while they were alive, protection from a system that saw the warning signs but didn't act. Now, all that remains is this story, this reminder that domestic abuse can turn deadly, that no amount of apologies can undo what was done, and that sometimes the most dangerous person in someone's life is the one who claims to love them most. May their memories be a blessing, and may their deaths inspire others to take threats of violence seriously before it's too late.